Well, hello, welcome again to a reading through of Plato's Apology of Socrates. I got up to chapter 16, and in the numbering system this is 28a2. This new section is called by scholars a Parekbasis, or a digression. So essentially Socrates has finished giving his refutation of the claims of Miletus, and now he has this fairly long digression that goes for a number of chapters. In some ways, when you look at the digression in terms of winning the case, perhaps Socrates would have been wiser to have finished before this, because he says in this section quite a few things that would have probably upset the jurors. Anyway, he continues on here to talk about issues connected with the case and what he will and won't do in the future. So he starts off, Alaga o Andres Athenaioi, hos min ego uk adiko kataten meletu graphein. U poles, moi doke enai apologias ala hikana kaitauta. So, ala at the beginning I often like to translate as come, rather than but. So, come, O men of Athens, hos men, and we get a hot det, I think, here. So, that, on the one hand, I am not doing wrong, well, in accord with the indictment of Miletus, because he claims that he's proven that indictment was false. It seems to me literally not to be, I think it means something like not to require much defence. But even these things are sufficient. In other words, everything that doesn't really require that much defence, and I've already given all the stuff that I have said before, is sufficient. Now there's the det balancing the men here, but that which also I was saying en tois en prosthein. It may be in the previous time or perhaps in the previous arguments. Not clear what goes with the tois here, perhaps logois. Hoti pole moi, that much hatred, gegonin, perfect, has come to be for me. So we might say that there is much hatred against me or for me, kai pros polus, and literally by many people, or at the hands of many, literally in relation to many. Know well that it is true. Kai tut estin, and this is that which hyre, it is present, but it's really got almost a future meaning in English. Hyre here are used in that technical sense to convict. So this is the thing which convicts me, if indeed it does convict. Not, well, it's got to understand the graphein, the indictment of Miletus nor Anytus, but the diabole, the slander, kai tophtonos, and the envy, turn polon, of the many. Hade polus kai alus kai agathus, and the next page is andras heiraken. Greek likes to put ands in between adjectives, so it's many and others and good. We would just say many other good. So this is the very things which indeed, and then going to the next page, Andres heiraken, this is the perfect hiereo. So the many things which indeed have convicted many other noble men. Oimoi dekai hieresai, this is the future of hiereo, and I think also it's something like will continue to convict them. Uden dedenon me en emoi stay. There is no danger, I think, for Danon here, and then the may here I'm going to translate as that. Stay, it stops at me. So the sense is there's no danger that it stops with me. In other words, I won't be the last. So he says it's the hatred and the slander and envy of the many that's going to indict, that's going to find me guilty, that's going to convict me. This has happened to many good men in the past. It'll continue to happen in the future. I won't be the last, is the sense of all this. Issos an un epoitis. Perhaps someone then would say, and then he makes up the straw man, makes this comment here, which he's then going to argue against. Are you not then ashamed, O Socrates? Now, Greek likes to have verbs and cognate nouns together. So, literally, having pursued such a pursuit. So, are you not ashamed, O Socrates, having pursued such a dispute, as a result of which, ex who, kindu nues, nuni, that's a very deictic, emphatic nun, as a result of which now you run the risk of dying. You run the risk to die, with an infinitive here. Ego to tuto an dikaion logon ant erpoimi. So this is from anti-lego, to speak against or to speak in opposition to. So I would, and it's an optative here, in other words, if this person did say that, I would speak a just word in opposition to this man. The two toes agreeing back with this tis. So if someone were to say this, I would speak a just word in opposition to him. Saying understood that. U kalos legos, you do not speak well, O man. A, if you think, this is second person from oiamai, so if you think, now the andra goes with the with the dane. So if you think it is necessary for a man, I'll take this bit next, hotu tikais mikron ophelos estin, of whom there is even a little use or advantage. So in other words, worth perhaps for this ophelos. So if you think it is necessary for a man of whom, well, we would say in English, who is worth anything at all, literally of whom there is even small benefit. So a man who is worth anything at all, hypologisdomai is to take into account danger, and then we get two articular infinitives, the danger of life or death. So just perhaps to do that bit again, because that's a little bit tricky. So you do not speak well, O man, if you think it is necessary for a man who is worth anything at all to take into account the danger of life or death, literally of living, these are infinitives, of the life or of the living or to die, so of life or death. This is the infinitive from perfect infinitive from thnesko, and thnesko normally occurs in compounds, apothnesko, but you often get in the perfect, you often just get the bare form of the verb here, which is what we've got here from tethnanai, from thnesko. You will get thnesko in poetry by itself, but generally not in prose, except in the perfect here. So he does not take into account that, but hotan prate, from the Attic from praso, so whenever he acts, to look not to this only, and the ook here is slightly awkward here. in other words, to look at nothing else except whether he acts, and either take these adverbially, justly or unjustly, or you could take this as he does just things and or unjust things. So it's to pay attention to nothing else but this, whether he acts, so whenever he acts, whether he acts justly or unjustly, and he does, now we have the sense of Plato in the sense of does, and does works of a good man or a base man. Fauloi gar anto getso logo aen ton hamathion. So take this bit first. So by your account, in fact, those among, partitive genitive here, I think, those among the demigods would be, fauloi, would be worthless, as many as died, perfect here, in Troy, and then the hosoi, I think, gets broken into two bits, all of the others, and, it's almost in particular, the son of Thetis, who despised danger, tosuton, to such an extent, para to iskron, in comparison with, now the top, I think, this is articular infinitive, so it's para top, paramenon. So in comparison with submitting to any shameful thing, with the result that, or so that, when his mother, being a goddess, said something like the following, so I think, to him, being keen, so being eager to kill Hector, so being eager to kill Hector, so just, that's a bit tricky, that one. So he despised the danger, I think the tosuton is something like to such an extent, in comparison with submitting, I think, for hupomeni, to submitting to anything shameful, so that when his mother, being a goddess, said something like, perhaps something thus, something like the following, so I think, to him as he was eager to kill Hector. And then he makes up what he thinks Thetis might have said. And this is the mother, of course. O Pi, O my child, if you will get revenge for the murder, the slaughter, for your comrade Patroclus, and, future here, you will kill Hector, you yourself will die. And then we have a break here with this, and she said, your fate is ready, your appointed fate is ready immediately for you, just after that of Hector, so after you've killed Hector. The grammar's slightly odd, which is why the editors put some dashes here. So just to do that bit again, so, O child, if you will get revenge for the murder for your comrade Patroclus, and you will kill Hector, you yourself will die. And she said, also for she said, your appointed fate is ready immediately indeed, or perhaps for you, if you will, after that of Hector. And he, having heard this, now this is taking a genitive here, so he thought so little of death and danger, so he regarded death and danger as unimportant, but having feared much more life to live, being a coward, and not to get revenge for one's friends. He said, Tethnaion autica, let me die at once, after I have epithes from epitithemi, having placed requital for the one who has done wrong, so having punished the wrongdoer. Hiname, lest I might, this must be subjunctive here, lest I might remain here beside the curved ships, katagelastos, being laughed at or mocked, and an akthos, a rures, a burden on the land. The arures, arure of course is the cultivated land, so a burden on the land. Now we get a question here expecting the answer no. So this is to the jury. So surely you do not think him to have given thought for death and danger? Hutoga eke o Andres Athenio te aletheia. For, O men of Athens, thus it is in regard to the truth. Who wherever someone, taxe, this is aorist subjunctive from tasso, here in the sense of to station. So wherever someone stations himself, thinking it to be the best place, so this is a military idea here, or has been stationed, passive, by his commander, it is necessary, so it seems to me, for him remaining there, kindunuain, to face the danger, to run the risk. Maiden, now we get double negatives here, but it's this verb hypologisdomai, to take into account. So taking into account, not at all. Greek says neither, we would say either death or anything else pro to iskru, more than disgrace, literally before disgrace, so we would say more than disgrace. And that is the end of chapter 16.